This looks okay? Okay.
Looking good. Hello, everybody. It is Misha Green, DC editor. I am super excited to be chatting with the great C. Brian Williams. I just was telling him we got to chat, and you guys, I'm sure, read it in the Afro earlier this year about the amazing work he has been doing with Step Afrika for over 2 decades now, which is amazing. And now, a few months later, we are in the middle of a pandemic, approaching a very serious election season, or in the middle of a serious election season, I should say. And of course, battling many protests surrounding police brutality, racism, and the like. And so we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah. So good to see you.
It's so great to see you as well, and to see you healthy and represented for Step Afrika. Your background is amazing.
Thank you.
So I can't wait to talk about everything. But you guys know, before we can even get into the nitty gritty, we got to share the stream. And as I like to say, sharing is caring. So go ahead and share that stream if you're watching as well. You guys know that you want your folks in the community at large to know all the amazing things that C. Brian Williams, Step Afrika, Strathmore, everybody's got going on. And we're going to be talking about all of that today. Please remember, sharing is caring. And I'm going to go ahead and share this as well. Let's see. Okay. Thank you to all those tuning in and listening to this deafening silence.
I'm sharing as well.
Okay, cool, perfect. I figured that was the case. When I see heads down, that's what I assume.
And shared.
And shared, okay. And let me just make sure my autocorrect does not want Step Afrika to be great. Okay, there we go. You know how that is. All right, we are shared, and sharing is caring. So you guys do the same. So first of all, how are you? Like, we are in the middle of a pandemic still, and there is a lot going on. How are you feeling?
You know, who thought that we would be here right now, right? To our audience, hope that everybody is doing safe and manage as best they can in what's a very challenging time for not only our city, our country, our world. It's overwhelming. It really is. And for Step Afrika, just to kind of bring it down to the organization, we were in the middle of a 3-week off-Broadway run right at 42nd and 7th Street in the Broadway's Theater District, performing Drum Folk, the work that you saw us perform at the Strathmore, where we did the world premiere in January of 2020. And I'll never forget, we were there when the lights went off on Broadway and we had to cancel our final 5 sold out shows. And we were just having a great time. So since then it's been a challenge, but I recognize it's been a challenge for our whole world. And so we're just trying our best to, stay in there, hang in there, and be ready for the return, because we know it's coming,
So how do you stay in there and hang in there during this time?
For us, for artists, this pandemic has really affected artists in particular. It's had a lot of effect on our frontline workers, on our health professionals, we know. And, just thank you to all those out there who do that work. Artists and arts organizations and theaters in particular, though, have been hit incredibly hard. Any live performing artists, because the theaters that we've built where we specialize in community gathering have been shut down. And we don't know when we can see each other again. And that's what we specialize in, is in performing for our community, providing a shared space for us to come together, and celebrate and learn about our culture. So what we've had to do is just shift like everybody else, start working remotely as much as possible. I'm proud to say we've been able to keep all of our artists. Step Afrika is the largest employer of full-time African-American artists in the city, in this region. We provide more full-time work to African-American artists than anyone else in the city, any other arts organization. And we've worked hard to keep them engaged and, most importantly, employed through this period so that we can still create for our community.
It's so good to hear you say that because
Yeah,
obviously we know Step Africa is a staple for us artistically and culturally, and we're seeing a lot of staples really hit hard.
yeah,
Of course, no judgment to all the institutions that we're seeing, unfortunately, affected by this. But it's really great news to hear that Step Africa is still finding a way to make it through. So, I eh, selfishly got to have a very long conversation with you at the beginning of the year, but the journey and trajectory of South Africa has been so incredibly fascinating. From
mhm,
your introduction to Step at Howard and pledging and obviously into the study abroad and opening this amazing cultural institution. And so because I know it, I'd love if you could share just a glimpse of it for the people before we get into mindfulness and everything happening at Strathmore.
oh, well, thank you. I mean, Step Africa, this is maybe our 26th, almost our 27th year now.
Wow.
Started in 1994, about, I think, maybe 4 years after I graduated from Howard University here in Washington, D.C. And, it really has been a wild journey. I learned how to step as a member of a fraternity. I pledged the fraternity back. And for those who know that culture, that tradition, I pledged a frat, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, in 1989. So it's been some time. And fell in love with the art form of stepping then, right? Just became like, this is a really fascinating tradition, and started to research and study it. Fast forward, graduated from Howard, moved to South Africa. I was living in Southern Africa for a year, actually, just a couple of years after the release of Nelson Mandela from Robben Island. So became fascinated by the art forms that I saw on the continent of Africa, and then wanted to start something that would connect stepping, this African American tradition, with the continent of Africa. Hence, Step Africa. And ever since then, it's just been this journey of creating an organization, a dance company, an arts organization, that first and foremost serves the community, while also celebrating untold histories and stories from within our culture. So we're very aggressive about telling the story of African American culture and history all over the world. We've been to over 60 countries, but it's just been a wonderful journey. And the community, the DC community in particular, has been right there with us throughout, and Maryland and Virginia, the DMV.
Well, again, just thank you for sharing that artistry and being committed to it and being committed to the storytelling as well. Um, so, I know that Drum Folk did not get its full run off Broadway, and I'm
Yeah.
sure the tour itself was cut short. Any idea of when you all will be able to begin performing? Can we look out for some virtual stuff or anything like that?
No, without question. Stepafrica.org. You can go to our website, www.stepafrica.org, and learn more about what Step Africa is doing. We were supposed to bring drum folk for 2 weeks this summer, July 2020, with Strathmore. Strathmore is an amazing partner for Step Africa, and we were so excited to talk to them about bringing drum folk to our community after the successful run on Broadway. And there's still talks to do that. As soon as Strathmore and other theaters across our region can safely get together, we're gonna bring that work back. So the community will get a chance to see drum folk. For those who don't know, drum folk honors African American activism in early 1700s. It's inspired by the Stoner Rebellion of 1739, when Africans fought liberty and justice, but even before the country was formed, before the Boston Tea Party, and that led to the Negro Act of 1740. So drum folk is inspired by these kind of little known events in American history that not only affected African American culture, but the whole country as well. And drum folk, I can't wait till we get to share that with more people around the world.
Yeah, I only got to see a piece of
Yeah.
folk, and I have to tell you guys, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, again, not only is
Thank
it
you.
engaging, and obviously the artists on stage are incredible. I mean, truly, just watching them move is an experiential, moment for everybody in that audience. But you get to learn, and the fact that it's
Yeah.
educational is super cool too. So, guys, be sure to look out for Drum Folk and all that Step Africa's doing. Once the world reopens, once it's safe
Yeah.
to reopen, right? Because we don't want to take any risks out here for sure.
No, safety first, right? We want to be safe. And I
Yeah,
think the theater community is being very responsive to that, even though it's threatening our survival.
yeah,
We know we have to follow the rules and listen to the scientists about how to handle this so that when we come back, we can come back. You
right,
know?
right, for sure. Well, it's great that not all art is shut down, if you will, and the art never ends. We know that artists
Yeah.
continue no matter what. But Strathmore has done this really, really cool thing in which
Yeah.
they've taken 5 local artists and really uh, honored them in a way that I think everyone would love to say they get one day, which which is in a monument fashion. It is artist Craig Walsh, who is from Australia, and they're honoring 5 local artists who have made a significant contribution to our community by featuring their digital images in this exhibition. And I think that is super, super, super cool. And obviously, if you guys cannot tell from the build-up that I'm giving, right? C. Brian Williams is definitely one of those artists who's made a huge contribution, not only locally, but nationally and internationally. And so I'm so happy that we get to honor him and that Strathmore has allowed for this opportunity for these digital monuments. So, first of all, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It is pretty cool.
I can only imagine it being just like super awesome. And I heard a little birdie told me you went to go check it out. Was it day before yesterday?
Yeah, I was out there like 8:45 at night. And let me tell you guys, it's it's really, it's nice to see people trying to find ways for us still to enjoy art, to enjoy the outdoors, and to be safe. And I think Strathmore has really done this, really hit out the park with this project. I normally perform in their theater, their beautiful theater, which is one of my favorite theaters in the whole world to perform in. But I had never really explored their like 16-acre campus,
It's
you
huge.
know, and walking around the campus in the evening and night. 'Cause it's best to see that you can only witness this exhibit at night. It's just a great evening. And for those who've been kind of wanting to still get out and wonder what our theaters are doing, you should definitely check this out because it's just a wonderful night out. It's beautiful outdoors, and of course, an honor to be a part of it.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine. I shout out to Strathmore. All of the programming that I've experienced at Strathmore has been just absolutely wonderful. But more importantly, that space, you're right, is one of the most beautiful arts spaces I've been to in the country, if not
Yeah,
I've done the Strathmore tour and the Strathmore Mansion tour, and really fell in love with everything that that place has to offer, and sort of even in its mixed history, they've really done a lot of wonderful things, and so salutations to Strathmore and everything that they're doing over there.
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like experiencing not only seeing yourself in this way, but some of the other artists and sort of what we can experience when we go and check it out.
You know, I really enjoyed looking at the other monuments, not
Mm,
necessarily myself, and that makes sense, right? But because just the way they were able to project their faces onto this living entity, the trees, and the different perspectives that you get from angles as you walk through the park and seeing it from across the way or being close up. For me, it was just a little too, I was humbled and I was very excited to be there. So I looked at it and I was like, this is great. But I really enjoyed the other great artists that they celebrate and honor this way, because these are artists who are doing the work every day, and so often we don't get a chance to celebrate our artists, our community of artists who really bring this great programming to the stage for us. So for Strathmore to do that, I think is wonderful, and it's just a great night. It really is a unique night out. I've never really done anything quite like it, and I've done a lot of things. So this was. I hope that they keep. I would love for them to extend it, but I know weather is an issue, and so really people should sign up quickly, because they're still being very safe in terms of how many people are allowed to participate. You have to wear your mask, which is good. Which is good.
Nice. I love the term creative forces, because that's
Mm,
truly what you all are. And I think, uh, you know, to hear terms like that, or, you know, I often interview people who are like being honored as legends and things like that. It sort of holds a weight. But in very many ways, you guys do propel art not only locally but
yeah,
nationally. What would you say are next steps for artists post this pandemic? And
yeah.
definitely as we still process what's happening socially and politically.
Well, let me tell you, as an artist of color, as an African American artist, I know the challenges that our community faces in particular. So when we were hit by COVID-19, of course, that was a huge shocker. But then when George Floyd was murdered, and that led to our young people, marching in the streets, leading this next wave of reckoning, if
Mm.
you. I got to say, I'm just so humbled, and I'm thankful to these young art. I'm thankful to this next generation, that led the way, and that's really pushed this conversation, because we're trying to make the country better, and I feel as an artist, um, I became even more centered in terms of supporting artists of color in particular, because the arts world is a challenge in general for anyone to survive. I don't care if you're super large or super small. It's hard to fundraise and to create the revenue to serve audiences on a continual basis and to be accessible and diverse. But for artists of color, we have another challenge organizationally. The inequities that exist in funding historically, and they sometimes limit the capacity of our organizations to serve. So I want us to get better and stronger as we go forward. I want to, as a pretty strong arts organization, I want to support other artists of color who are building organizations, starting organizations, giving them the tools that can hopefully allow them to be, not to have all the struggles I did in launching Step Afrika, And I think that the country is making a move in that. So when we come back, I just look forward to us being stronger, even more resilient, because we would have survived this crazy thing, and more ready to serve, and a country that's more ready to support equitably people of all of its citizens. That's what I could hope for.
Mm.
Vote.
Yes. Yes. Say it again for the people in the back. Yes. It's
We
so,
have to get awesome, and we have to get involved, don't we?
yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So, what I want to let the people know is your time is coming up. I know I get excited and I ask all the questions, but feel free to go ahead and drop some questions or comments in the comment
Yeah.
section. I know that you guys are burning with some things to ask. And so I want to give you guys the opportunity, and thanks to all those who are already tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. Well, I guess while I can still selfishly ask some of my questions,
Yeah.
you shared with me this great experience about the cultural sort of um, exchange that Step Afrika had when traveling
Mm.
Southern Africa. And I'm curious if you could share that for the people. I mean, we none of us can travel really right now, so at least give us a little glimpse. Of
Tell
what
me
was
about it.
on,
I
right?
haven't been home this much in my entire life. This is and, I've learned some things about being in the area. I'm enjoying this beautiful fall weather we're having. It's amazing.
Yes.
Be gone for the entire fall, so I won't get a chance to enjoy and witness it. So there's some benefits to, I guess, to enjoying what we have locally and appreciating that more, right? And appreciating the beauty around us. But I'll never forget when I was in Lesotho. It's a small country surrounded by Southern Africa. That's where I was actually living when I first moved to Africa, just about maybe 3 months after I graduated from Howard University. And I remember I was driving down the road and I saw this little boy on the side of the road playing with these rubber boots. He was wearing these tall rubber boots and he was using them as an instrument, kind of playing, like they call it playing gum boots. And he was making rhythms with the boots. And I was like, what is this? What is he doing? Because it was a percussive dance. Some of the movements looked a little bit like stepping, but I had never seen it before. So I found out it was a South African gumboot dance. And once I found that out, I was just a button kind of clicked. I became a little obsessed about the art form, started learning it, and then did a little mini exchange with my students. I was teaching in Africa when I was there in 1991. And that's where the idea for Step Afrika came about, to use stepping or to connect stepping with the continent of Africa, right, in particular. But since then we've been all over the world. We were supposed to be going to Ghana this year on a return visit, and Poland. We were working on an exciting tour there, and Slovenia and Croatia once more. But we've journeyed, taking the art form well outside of the continent of Africa. So and all over Europe, all over South and Central America and Asia, Middle East. And what we're finding is that bottom line is people are so much more similar than they are not.
Yeah.
And we need to really look at that and get over these petty differences. Clearly, our history is something we must get over, and we have some things to deal with, But at the end of the day, people are so similar, and I really want to find ways to connect versus push us apart,
Yeah, I wondered even in dance style, do you go to Croatia or Slovenia or, these places and they say, well, we have a move that's similar to this, or,
sure.
is even that something that we find similarities in?
Yeah. In the Middle East, there's a dance called the Depka, which is a percussive dance that has it's done in a circular style, which, and traditionally the fraternities are in a circle, stepping, moving around a circle. So there's so many connections. Circle dances in particular, from Eastern European folk villages to traditional African villages all across the continent of Africa. The circle is huge, and the circle is huge in stepping, So there's so many comparisons I could draw. I could talk about that forever,
Nice. Well, I'm hoping you come back again so that one day we can have those. We have a couple things that we do at the Afro that we just need, like a C. Brian Williams day, so that you can break some stuff down for us, throw some history up in there for us. Really,
we should do that.
Yeah,
we should totally do that. Maybe play some excerpts of some films that we have. We're making all this digital products and films and dance films. I'd love to come share them with you and talk about it and just see what we come up with.
I would love that. The other thing I was wondering, and I was like trying to search real quick online if that was already happening, but I would love a Step Afrika digital workshop. Like I need that. I would love, I know I will not look like your artists who are absolutely amazing, but I want to try.
I think we can make that happen. We're doing a lot of, for your audience out there, we're doing a lot of virtual programming. Nice. Doing a lot of virtual residencies for students. We're doing a lot of one-off workshops. We have a program called Step Afrika Reads, where we're taking a lot of our work onto the digital platform. So just check out our website, see what we're doing. Go enjoy that exhibit at Strathmore, walk around that beautiful campus, and let's be safe so we can I'm ready to get back on the stage. My artists are ready to get back on the stage and perform for people and connect with people live and in person. But until then, we'll make it happen this way.
Nice. All right, so I want to shout out those who are tuning in, and thanks to all those who have shared. I've seen a lot of people have shared the stream, and we appreciate you for that. Moody's Hour, who is my girl Montanette, she says the little I don't ever know what to call those.
Those hands up.
Praise hands emojis. Yes. Hello, my girl. Thank you so much for tuning in. Julianne Brands says, great,
Oh,
Brian. And she gives you the heart. Someone says, hey, Sandra says, hey. And thanks. Shout out to Dana, who's working backstage, giving a whole lot of info and dropping it down in the comments. We really appreciate that. And so to all those who might want a little bit more information or unsure, yes, check out in the comments. Judge Wilbur Trammell says, thank you for your commitment to keeping our culture alive. I'm an Omega man and an HU Bison and feel the civil rights movement encourage more people to pledge and thus gain increased appreciation.
mm.
Oh, can you kind of speak a little bit about that? Because that's a great point, Judge Wilbur Trammell. Thank you so much. Always, he's one of our loyal followers and supporters. So thank you so much, Judge Trammell.
Thank you, Judge Trammell. You know, my father was actually a pledged Alpha at Howard in the 60s. I don't know when Judge Trammell was there, but he raises a good point. You know, the art form of stepping has its origins in the early 1900s when African Americans first began to attend colleges and universities in larger numbers. So they weren't allowed to join historically white the mainstream institutions of the day, frats and sororities. So they decided to create their own institution, their own historically Black fraternities and sororities, the first one being Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And Howard University, many people don't know, 5 of the Divine Nine, the collection of 9 historically Black frats and sororities, 5 or 6 of them are founded on Howard University's campus. So Judge Trammell, I'm sure, knows that history well. But stepping as an art form was kind of a quiet formation from like 1900, early 1900s, so about 1950s, 60s. It's mostly songs and some simple marching. But around the 60s, when African Americans began to really hit the college campus after the GI Bill and whatnot, civil rights movement he talks about, my dad was on campus at that time, you start to see this explosion, not just in African Americans on campus, but participation in fraternities and sororities. So the art form of stepping really started to kind of really develop around 60s, to where 70s, we come to the 70s, that's where you might see the first step show, right? Now, there's only one book written on this. It's called Soul Stepping by a good friend of mine, Dr. Elizabeth Fine. One of my former dancers is an ethno-choreologist, and we're still doing the research. But, you know, Judge Trammell, I'd love to hear, were you guys stepping on campus at that time, back at Howard University? My dad says that he pledged, oh, goodness.
47.
1947.
Wow.
What an honor. I think they were probably just singing. They might not have been stepping in 1947. That's my.
I was going to ask that. You know, even when they were singing and maybe doing sort of a two-step,
Yeah.
where did sort of the tradition of chant and movement come from in the fraternity and sorority sort of organizations? I mean, was it just the drums inside of us always, or what was that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So look, you know, there's still a lot more research that has to be done on stepping as a tradition, right? It's under-researched. And, you know, if I had time, I could get my PhD in this stuff and I would just dive deeper into this, but I'm involved in. But what we have learned is this, that stepping is the latest in a long line of percussive dance traditions in African-American communities, right? So the stepping kind of goes along with the evolution of Black culture in general here in the United States. Why Drum Folk, the show that we just produced, is so important is because it is important to us, and stepping is that the Stoner Rebellion of 1739 that I talked about earlier, that was a rebellion where Africans used their drums to fight. So they used the drum to call others to come and join the revolution and to fight. Now, eventually they were knocked down. And it was quashed, you know, it was killed, you know, and the leaders were killed. It led to the Negro Act of 1740. This Negro Act of 1740 made the drum an illegal weapon. So it was literally taken from the Africans in South Carolina. And then this became a model for others to look at in terms of managing plantations in the colonial America. So the drums are taken away. We lose the right to read, lose the right to write, to gather in groups over 20. A lot of things happen out of this Negro Act of 1740 that shape African American culture today. So stepping is really, once that drum's taken away, you start to see Africans using the body as the instrument, using wooden floor as the instrument. So you have ring shout, you have pat and juba, you have hambum, you have tap, and then you have stepping. So it really is a fascinating thing. And so, you know what we should do? We should get some scholars and we should go deeper into this thing, because I feel like it's kind of indicative of when do we start becoming African Americans, and when are we no longer Africans?
Yeah.
And I think this moment in history might give us some indication of that, when we had to kind of let go of all of that stuff behind us by force and start to redefine and recreate a new response to our lives here, you know?
Wow. It's just amazing to think about the resilience of African American people. We've been on this, we will make it work forever. Okay. We don't got drums, but we got our bodies, we got our feet, right?
Oh my God.
We have been on this forever.
400 years of improvisation. I mean, 281 years since that. You're right. It's been a journey, hasn't it?
It's been an amazing journey. But so thankful for organizations like Step Afrika that puts that on the forefront for us, that reminds us of that, because we know with everything going on, it can be lost on us, and particularly when a lot of the rhetoric that happens now is us finding that we have to be resilient because stories like the Breonna Taylors and Rayshard Brooks, Jonathans, et cetera, of the worlds, right? And we can only talk about that resilience, but that it comes from such a deep place, I think, is so incredibly inspiring. And the fact that art is sort of the key to always us making it through really, really makes my day, and makes me so happy that we have organizations like Step Afrika.
Thank you. We're glad to do it. Thank you. I mean, knowing your history should empower you and shouldn't depress you. We have a strong, challenging history, but we have a lot of victory as well. And I love centering the victory and our resilience in that experience. And we must be resilient now. So let's stay resilient and stay ready and keep plowing forward,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, as always.
It has.
Please tell the people how they can follow you one more time, and just make sure they keep up with all things Step Afrika.
Yep, super easy. We're on social media under Step Afrika, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our website is www.stepafrika.org. And I also thanks so much to the Strathmore for this honor and this moment and this time. And I'll be back out at Monuments, I'm sure, at least a couple more times, just to enjoy the campus and to see this really brilliant video installation. So hopefully I'll see you guys there, masked up.
Yes, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your hand sanitizer in your pockets, but go there. Make sure you go to Monuments Creative Forces and check out all of it. Thanks to all those tuning in. I'm seeing you guys' comments, and I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody, but we love you and appreciate you, and really thank you guys for tuning in. I do want to quickly say, Judge did specify they did singing in circles. So, yep, exactly. 1947 stepping for y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, thank you to Sean Burns, who says my man CB. Jewel Wall, who is one of our top fans, says soul stepping. Amazing. Wow. So yes, thank you guys. Oh, and Sean says, love you, bro. So everybody loves C. Brian Williams. Everybody loves Step Afrika. And thank you so much. Go to Strathmore, check out Monuments Creative Forces, and check out those awesome people who are really contributing to our world.
Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe. Talk to you soon.